Stanley Milgram and the shocking truth about authority. I don't know if you know this experiment. It's a very famous experiment. We're going to break it down right now. If you do know, good, right? You can help me break this down. And when we talk about it, you will understand some of the nuances. If you've never heard of this experiment, wait till you hear this craziness right here. You ready? All right. So in 1963, Stanley Milgram, a psychologist at Yale University, he conducted this experiment focusing on the conflict between obedience and authority, obedience to authority, personal conscience. In other words, so there's always a conflict between obedience, like should I do what they're telling me to do, or should I follow my conscience? All right, so he put an ad out in the newspaper. People started responding to it. They showed up that day, and this is what happened. The selected participants were paired with another person. So he started breaking them into pairs, right? They drew lots to find out who would be the learner and who's going to be the teacher. Who's going to be one? So in other words, all the participants showed up. We broke you on the pairs. One person in the pair is going to be what we consider to be the learner. The other person in the pair is going to be what we consider to be the teacher. Okay. So what happened is the learners were taken into a room and had electrodes attached to their arms. Now let's pause for a second right here. I don't know about y'all, but now I'm telling you right now, if I show up to an experiment and I didn't know what was going on, and I drew lots, and they put me in the learning category, and y'all done strapped me to some electrodes, which is that to me, all I hear is electric chair. That's all I hear in my mind. So you done strapped me to the electric chair. I'm like, listen, man, can I draw again? Right?
Hold up.
Right. What is going on? This is now I don't know about y'all, but this is how I am. I'm already like, wait a minute, man. The
Paranoid.
newspaper ad
Wait a
didn't say
minute,
nothing
guys.
about these things. Yes. Yeah. Well, y'all didn't tell me nothing about no electricity being involved. What's going on? So I'm just telling y'all right now, as a side note, if this was me at this experiment, it's already gonna be a whole lot of questions being asked, right? Okay,
Yeah,
now
you about to buy out. You about to get out of the. Wait a minute, guys. I've changed my mind. I'm not
yes,
going to participate.
I need to I need to redraw or something need to change right here, right? Okay, now the teacher and the researcher went into a room next door that contained an electric shock generator. Now, the researcher is the person that was part of Milgram's team that was there to conduct the experiment. The researcher had on a lab coat, looked very professional, right? Look, a scientist, right? Okay, so the teacher and the researcher went into the room next door that contained an electric shock generator. Again, I'm already still worried because if I'm the learner and I see people headed off to another room, I'm the only one in the room with this electric chair. Now, normally when that happens, the execution is about to occur. Now, y'all can't be leaving me over here with this electric by my side. It's not happening, right? So, but they go to the other room, and the other room contained an electric shock generator. Now, it's not on the screen here, but I went and looked this. I was studying, I was looking at this experiment. I said, okay, on the shock generator was a knob. The dial was set. There was a 15-volt setting. Apparently, there was something around 375-volt setting, and there
Whoa,
was one at 450. Right now,
whoa.
one said like a mild shock, right, to a heavy shock, and the last one they ain't had nothing. They just had three X's over there. Like we don't even know what to tell you that one is. I guess somebody about to get killed if you put it that high, right? Okay, so this is the generator. Okay. So this, I told you I was gonna be tripping. This thing is crazy. Now the learners were asked questions. Now, if they got the question wrong, the researcher told the teacher, give them a little shock. What? Yeah. If they get the question wrong, touch this button right here, get them a little shock. So the teacher did it. Okay, the learner's like, oh man, okay, I guess I better get the next one right. All right. So you get a little shock. Now, for each incorrect answer, watch what happens. For each incorrect answer, the teacher was instructed to increase the voltage of the shock. So if a learner got the question wrong, the teacher was supposed to start dialing up the voltage. All right. So regardless of the pain or distress the learner was in, the teachers were ordered by the researchers to continue to electrocute the learners. What? I'm telling y'all, this is what they said. They said the learners were in the other room hollering out, oh God, right? And looking surprised, I can't take it. Oh, I got a
Ow!
bad heart. Yes, and stuff like this. But regardless of the pain or distress that the learner was in, the
Turn
teacher
it
was
up.
being
Turn.
ordered by the researcher to turn it up.
Beep.
Right? Keep going. Press the button again. Hit him again. That's what they're saying, right? Guess what?
So Al.
Go
So
ahead.
if you didn't answer at all, you still got shocked, right?
You still got shocked because no answer is the incorrect answer.
Mm.
Once you got started, I'm already telling you now. First of all, I'm not gonna be sitting there for that. I don't know about y'all, but I'm already. This experiment is over. The first time I feel some pain, that's not what I signed up for. Okay, but anyway, the vast majority of the teachers complied. Let me say this again. They did this experiment with a lot of folks. The vast majority of the teachers complied. That is, even if they were distressed, even if the teachers thought they should have stopped, even if they look back at the research like, you sure? You know, anything along those lines, they still complied with the researchers saying, hey, go ahead. They signed up for this. They know what they signed up for. Shock them. They got to get it right. Shock them again. They got to get it right. They was kept on this, right? Why? Because people tend to do things they wouldn't normally do when they are instructed to by someone with perceived authority. This is what Milgram found out with his findings, right? Is this true? Y'all think this is true? If this is true, drop a T in the chat. If this is true, if y'all believe people, a lot of times folks will find themselves doing stuff that they normally would not do, and they're only doing it because somebody they thought they could trust, somebody they thought was in charge, kept telling them to do the thing. If y'all think that's true, drop a T in the chat. I'm just curious. Drop a T. T stands for true. Okay, and I get T start filling the chat. Yes, people do this all the time. I'm like, listen, man, Stanley, I could have helped you out, bro. You didn't need to do this experiment. We shocking people had to death to figure this out. We know this. We already know people do this all the time. Let's explore what's going on here. Okay. Now, if y'all know me, I love telling. I like telling stories. So there's the plot twist to this story. Y'all ready? I got a plot twist to this story right here that's gonna make you go, "Ow, man, what's up with you?" Right? Here's the plot twist. So, I could have told y'all this at the beginning, but I didn't. The shocks were not real. They weren't real shocks, okay? The learners were actually actors who were part of the experiment and did not actually receive any shocks. So, in other words, the only people who were really part of the experiment were the teachers. So, the people who replied, everybody who replied to the ad in the newspaper that showed up, even though it looked like they were drawing lots and being chosen, you could be a learner or a teacher. Actually, anybody who showed up today that was not part of Milgram's team, one of his researchers or one of the hired actors, they were automatically given the role of teacher, even if they tried to draw lots. Okay, they had the whole game rigged right there, because what they really wanted to see is how long would y'all keep shocking folks just because some person that you do not know, you only know this person for a few minutes, as you walk into the room, saw them, and they got on a white lab coat and said, hey, I'm the researcher here. How long are you gonna keep pressing this button and keep shocking people, right? Okay, so to me, when I realized the shocks weren't real, I was like, okay, I get it now. So that's why the learners kept sitting there, and I'm sitting up there trying to debate for myself. So what would I have done if I was sitting in that seat? And I kept trying to think about it, right? And so let's talk about this. Break this whole thing down for a minute, right? If you look at this right here, we talked about this earlier. Influencers at work. In this scenario, I see two influencers in this experiment, right? I see enforcers and decision makers, experts and advisors. And so you all let me know. So what I'm seeing is I showed up to the experiment, and there is the person, right? I mean, I see all three of them actually. I see all three of them there. I see the enforcer, decision maker, the gatekeeper, and the expert right there. The gatekeeper could be the one person could actually be all three of these. That is the researcher. When I walk in, if I'm greeted by the researcher in the lab coat and he's telling me what I need to do, what's going on, how this thing is going to work today, that researcher is in the enforcer and decision maker category. Okay. But the researcher is also the gatekeeper, because if I'm thinking I'm going to get paid for this experiment, or this is what I need to go through, or this person is signing me in, right? They could very easily be the gatekeeper, the one that's in charge of this whole process and is going to get me started in the experiment. They can also be the expert or the advisor. You're the expert. You got on this white lab coat. You're the researcher. You know what's going on, and you're supposed to be the one that is guiding me and giving me the information that I need to successfully complete this particular research project. So they got all three roles right here, right? So I'm sitting up here like, these three tips, if people actually use these three tips right here, I feel like when we say that the majority of the teachers, right, when I go back here, the vast majority of the teachers complied, I feel like if they had used these three tips, that number would have went way down. Why? Because first of all, this is me. I know me right now. I'd have been like, my question was, as soon as this thing started, matter of fact, it's before as the teacher, because that's the role I would have been in. I couldn't have been the learner because the learner was on the team and the actor. as soon as they start saying shock this thing, I would have had some questions right there because in the right context, it is okay. Let me zoom in on that. Let me so you all can see how you use this right here. Boom, here I am right here. In the right context, it is okay to question or challenge their thoughts, actions, and decisions. So I show up, you tell me I'm about to shock this other person over there. I'm going to ask a few questions. Of course, they're going to say yes, but I'm definitely going to ask a few questions like, listen, and does the person over there know they're about to get shocked? Right? And they said that's okay. Okay. And who's liable for this if they get hurt? Oh, because they actually signed up for this, and so they agreed to
Right.
this whole thing. Okay, so I got this question asked right here, and I'm also running through myself now. And then Dr. Lee said this earlier, and I'm also questioning me because guess who else is the decision maker in this process? Steve,
You.
pause. There's the rub right there. Guess who else is a decision maker and an enforcer in this process? That would be me
Mm-hmm.
because I'm the one who volunteered for the experiment. I came. So right now I'm about to question, challenge my own thoughts, action, and decisions. I'm like, listen,
Right.
am I really okay with this? Just because the other person said it's okay. I can see this dial. It says, this dial says big shot, and this one got X's over. I'm gonna be hurting somebody if we go this far up. Am I really okay with shocking somebody or potentially hurting them when I think it's harmful just for a few dollars, or because somebody I'm not really sure said it's okay?
Told me to do it.
I
That's
don't know
right.
if I'm gonna do that. So
No.
I want now you very very like now you got to ask, right? Let me say
Right.
this again. This is where people get confused and how to use this right here. People always look at the enforcers and decision makers and go, but that's my boss. My boss or the manager or the research person or whoever I'm dealing with is the enforcer, the decision maker. I'm trying to tell you, some people don't realize. Almost in every situation, there is a decision maker, and it is you also. It's also you. It's your choice on a lot of things. I understand there may be some consequences or some things you have to deal with for that. For like you do have a decision as to whether or not to listen to what the manager or the authority said. Now there might be some consequences on the other end, like you can't just refuse not to do your work. But I'm saying you're still one of the decision makers in this context, and you should have influence over what's going on. So I would have been asking some questions. Okay, right now, yes, I would have gladly thanked the researchers when I walked in the room. I appreciate y'all giving me some of my time and this, that, and other. I would definitely would have did that tip too. But I'm over here right here. I need some clarification. Like
Right.
I need to verify now before I turn this up right here. Now, what's gonna happen if this person has a heart attack or they fall out? Or what's going on? And what's the purpose of the experiment? And this is teaching them to do what? Right. How many people have y'all done this with before? Am
Have
I the
y'all
first one that y'all got doing this?
have y'all ever killed anybody with this
Right.
experiment?
Has anybody ever died doing this thing right here? Because I'm not going to be the first one. So I'm showing you all right now that if the teachers, the people who signed up for this verification process, who signed up for this particular experiment, had come to this training right here and just understood this simple thing that we have about influences at work or in any situation, and the only thing they knew was these three tips right here that we just broke down, they would have been equipped, whether they would have or not, I'm not sure. But they would have been equipped to make different decisions and more informed decisions. And the reason I say I don't know if they would or if they wouldn't is because there's one thing we cannot account for in here, and that is I don't care if some of these folks liked it. Some people was in here like you got some malicious folks that was like, hey, if they was dumb enough to sign up for it, that's on them. Because hey, you the one setting that chair over there. So if you want to get shocked, I'm glad to shock you. That's not me. That's not my personality. It's not my style. I'm gonna be looking over there like I don't get down like that. Some things might be on you, but because I might be like, well, that's on you. You can do what you want to do. Doesn't mean I have to be a party to that. All right. But
At,
I'm just so
at,
go ahead, Dr. Lee.
no, so at work, applying this to at work, they teach us now, or I've always had it, to have a questioning attitude.
To have a questioning attitude. Okay, what does that mean, Dr. Lee?
So pretty much, if you doing some, you're gonna go do an activity or work. If you don't understand something or something does not appear
That's
to
right.
be right, you need to ask questions. You need to bring
Right.
it up because we have something that's called stop work, pause
Right.
work.
Right.
And so a lot of this have to do with safety because I am a health and safety professional.
Right. And
And
let me
so
say, let me add to that, Dr. Lee. And at Entity Al, if you're doing a procedure,
Wait,
and
man, tell them what Entity is. Some of them know, but
that's
some of the new
the
folks, they don't
company,
know what that is.
Entity is a nuclear power producing, electrical power producing company. It has nuclear reactors that produces electricity.
Okay.
And if you're doing a procedure, uh, we have we have procedures that have to be followed step by step, and you get to a point where the procedure is wrong and you cannot perform a particular step, you have to stop. As Dr. Lee said, put your equipment, your whatever process in a whatever you're working on in a safe condition, and contact your supervisor. But if you cannot perform the procedure as it's written, you cannot proceed past that point. You have to
Gotcha.
stop everything. As she said, a questioning attitude, and contact your supervisor for verification before you can proceed.
So don't be making no alterations.
No, you cannot
Right.
just,
I got you.
and a lot of it is a lot of it's in sequence. You have to do this step before you do another step. It has to be done step by step in a certain sequence. Otherwise, you may cause a reactor scram or a failure of some equipment or something disaster.
Got you. Something having disastrous. Okay. All
so
Yes.
right. Go ahead,
so
Dr. Lee. You want to break
so
that
just
down some
going
more
back,
too?
yeah, just going back to the workplace. I always tell students that I work with, when
Mm-hmm.
you get a job, know the policies. All organizations have policies and you adhere to those policies. So if you have a person in authority and okay, you're a manager or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
if they're asking you to do something that might be violating the policy,
Right.
you always can go back to the policy. And I just say never deviate from that.
Exactly.
So
Got you.
that's where we kind of go with this. Is something's not right as far as with your moral compass, core
Don't do it.
values, the
Don't
core values of the organization, don't do it.
don't do it.
Okay. Makes sense to me. Now, for everybody that's here watching, what I would do if I were you, if y'all might have been doing this already, but just in case y'all and anybody seen me train before knows I'll suggest this, especially since you're on a device. I would suggest that you screenshot this right here. That you should screenshot this if you don't like you should be screenshotting a few of these slides actually, but definitely this one you should screenshot and hold on to it because we just showed you Manuel and Dr. Lee just showed you real quickly how using these three, it's only three little tips right there, which can completely change how your process is going and how you approach certain situations when you're conflicted about what to do. Not only that, Manuel, Dr. Lee just pointed out to you that they noticed at work that people had this conflict and these problems and issues as well, and therefore fail safes, right? And fail safes have been built into this to most workplaces and to most systems to make
Right.
sure that they take into account that a human error and a human tendency to follow to either go off on your own, right? Trying to as we say freestyle, right? Being innovative at the wrong time, or blindly follow authority. And authority person does not mean somebody who has a one-up position. Authority could also be a coworker who's been working there a little bit longer than you that says, "Oh man, don't worry about that procedure. Just do it like this." They're like, "No, no, 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 no." We shutting all that down. Okay. And so why is that done? Because it's influence at work and everybody is always constantly being influenced. I hope that makes sense for y'all. Okay.